Hi, you're listening to Harry Sideropoulos.
I'm Malcolm Terry.
Hello from Michael Richard.
Hello from Fiona Ramsey. And if you're listening to us, then you're lucky enough to be listening to Radio Today.
Today, South Africans share their lives with you here on Radio Today.
1485 AM.
Radio Today proudly brings you Rant and Rave, hosted by Chris Avant-Smith, who sometimes rants, but mostly raves. Radio Today, the radio station that cares. Radio Today, radio that delivers.
And hello from Chris Avant-Smith, and if you're listening to me, you're listening to Rant and Rave. Did I almost get that right? Welcome. It's wonderful to be with you today. I always love our Wednesday mornings together. Right, we have a lovely program coming up. We are going to be talking about quantum living, which I can't wait to discuss. It's something that's quite close to my heart. And then we're going to be going back into the bad old days of apartheid, and we're going to be chatting about a play who talks about Sifandis, the guy who shot for Vut. So that's going to be really interesting. And then we're going to go for a beautiful, beautiful woman. I'm looking at all the guys in the studio here. Her name's Kajal Bhagwandeen, and she is absolutely gorgeous, and she's going to come and chat to us all about her new TV show and her work on Sevendalan and Isidingo and all of that sort of thing. So we have a nice show and busy show today, and we will be back right after this.
Any chance to rise the face, talks about the people going under. Only child, a man decides after 70 years that what he goes there for is to unlock the door. Well, those around him criticize and sleep. Through a fractal on a breaking wall, I see you, my friend, and touch your face again. Miracles will happen as we drift. But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we are a little crazy. Other people walking through my head. One of them's got a gun to shoot the other one. And yet together they were friends at school. Will happen as we speak. But we're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy. No, we're never gonna survive unless we are a little.
Well, wasn't that just nice and relaxing? In studio, I have Edwin Nel. Welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Welcome. Thank you.
Edwin, what do you do?
$1 million question, eh? Well, the last year I've spent mostly on writing a book. I was guided to resign about in April last year, and not too sure what was going to happen and transpire. And then I started working on a corporate wellness proposal with how people think and realigning your thought patterns, which create your habits and in turn create your physical activities, etc., etc. And then once I finished that, I was listening to a Quran channeling by Lee Carroll. And I've been studying it vigorously for the last couple of years and doing lots of other work. And I just started writing. And then I probably wrote the outline of the book that's in front of you, The Magic of Quantum Living, within 6 weeks.
Wow.
The download just came, yeah.
Sure. So
over 30,000 words was basically I would say 70% of the book was written within 6 weeks, yeah.
That's, that is amazing. Let's take a big giant step back.
Okay.
Tell me about yourself. Where do you come from? What your start, etc. Because we're talking about life at the moment.
Totally.
And so it's important, you're not a special person. I'm sure you are. I'm sure your mother thinks you're fantastic. But you're not a special person. You're a person.
I'm a normal person.
All of us have that ability. So let's take it back and tell me, where did you come from? Where were you born?
I was born in Alice in the Ciskei, so
Wow.
very close to Fort Dare University, where my father worked at the post office and my mother at that stage worked at was it Barclays Bank? Yes, Barclays Bank. And we stayed there for 4 years, and then we moved to East London. And I grew up mainly in East London. My whole schooling year spent at Grens High School, or Grens Primary, and Grens High School in East London, and did lots of sports. I loved sports. So for me, sports was my passion, and I put so much energy into sports and excelling and being better and competition and all of that at a young age. For me, it was running, swimming, cycling. Rugby actually was the main sport.
Well, I'm looking at you. You don't look like a rugby player.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of weight over the last. I say when I came back from the UK in 2001, I was weighing about 85. I'm about 75 now.
Okay, yeah. Lean and mean looking.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And so a very normal South African upbringing.
Totally normal. I had no any special background. Very Christian-based morals. Went to church every Sunday school. I was actually baptized twice. I was baptized in the Baptist church, and then later on in the NG church as a teenager around the age of 16, 17. Yeah.
Okay.
So very, very, very normal. Went through all the heartaches of love and relationships and life and the pain of not achieving in certain events where you want to achieve. And so very, very normal. I think we all have ups and downs, and that makes who you are. It builds character, and it actually tries, and it helps you to motivate you to perform better the next time. Yeah.
And then what happened?
After school, I spent a year at varsity. Actually, I was in the Parabats. I was an airborne soldier for about a year. Did PT course, and then I spent about 3 months during the apartheid era, just before the transition in 1903. And Ntokoza Katlong, falls for a list.
Oh, in the tough times.
I can tell you, I get goosebumps. I mean, walking through those areas with patrolling at night and seeing lakes that were, it was horrendous. It was
So very, 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 very difficult time. I understand that. Yeah.
I did not like that at all. I never liked.
Okay, just take a breath, take a glass of water, and then we can move on from there. After the army and that awful experience, what happened? Where did you go to?
I spent a year at varsity. 1 year.
1 year. Okay. We all spend that obligatory year.
Yes. Yeah, I tried to study, let me rather say, BCom marketing, accounting.
Yeah.
But my passion was sport, and I've always loved sport. So in hindsight, everything was meant to be as it's meant to be. So I don't want to change anything. Everything was lessons in life. So everything was so important for me to be who I am now, and for me to be where I am now.
Of course.
And then I went working after a year.
Did you pass?
I passed half the subjects.
Just had to. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
And then you worked.
Then I worked in Boland Bank. First at the Wimpy as a manager, as a trainee manager. Then we had family friends, so I worked there. Then I went into Boland Bank. And then I went...
Boland Bank.
Yes.
I remember it well.
And I played rugby at that stage for police first team in East London, yeah. So we had a very good first team. We won the club champs for 3 years in a row during that time, yeah, which was amazing. It was a beautiful time, and I played wing. Like I say, it was about 10 k's heavier.
Yes, yeah. Well, I can, would have to be, especially for the police teams.
Yeah, they were quite rough.
During this, and we'll carry on with your life, but during this period, how introspective were you?
Not much. No, not really. I just accepted things for what they are. I accepted life as this is a natural progression. Maybe get a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend at that stage. Get married, have kids, and then that's the normal. I would say run of the mill, the box or. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way that we as society
were
brought up to do, yeah.
Okay.
And I was very much on track with that experience of life, yeah.
Okay. So now you're at Boland and playing rugby, and you've been a boykie around town and got
lots of drinking.
And then, so how long were you there? What went on?
And then I worked for a company which actually now amalgamated. It was called Unity Finance, and that amalgamated later with African Bank. Can you imagine that?
Okay.
Yeah, not so good. I went overseas in 1999 after. I think after a relationship that broke up, it also prompted me. I've always wanted to travel. Actually, after the army, I've wanted to travel to the kibbutz and explore and experience. And for me, life is about experiences and about relationships. There is nothing else that life is about. The more experiences you have and the more relationships or people that you connect with, and you can connect on a deep level with, that is a key. But at that stage, I mean, that I just wanted to travel. That's all. Yeah.
And in those days, a good way to travel would be to go and work for a while in a kibbutz.
Yes.
And then at least you had a place to stay and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, my parents didn't want to. So in 99, about 5 years later, I went to London, working holiday visa, played a bit of rugby for Wasps for a year, and then I got a few injuries, and I realized, okay, at the age of 26, I think it's now enough. I can go do some other things. Yeah.
And tell me about London.
Oh, it was magic. For years afterwards, I actually had this hankering to go back, and just the time spent there, the experiences, the people that I met, the South Africans, the British, the Australians, the Kiwis. I mean, it was just awesome. And able to connect easy to Europe as well. So you can easily go to, say, Venice or to Paris for like a weekend. So it was just, I really loved every single second and the 2 years that I spent there.
Let's jump into where you are now, your metaphysical side of life. How did that happen?
It happened, I would say, getting back from the UK in 2002. I went to study IT, so I've got an IT diploma, Visual Basic, and that, and then I worked in computer science. After that, I decided, no, this is not. I cannot do the computer science. It's all very much similar to accounting. There's nothing wrong. Each person has a knack.
Yeah.
And then I went back into the marketing side, and I completed my marketing degree through UNISA. And then I decided something is pulling me to Joburg from Durban. That was in Durban. I spent about 3.5 years in Durban. I just feel big lights, big city, big stage. You want to excel in that.
Feeling, yeah.
So I packed my car, resigned without any job, and moved up to Joburg. Yeah.
And your parents were horrified at this point.
Yeah, they were a bit scared. They're a bit scared even now because of the jumps.
Yeah. And okay, so you arrived in Joburg, and what happened? Where?
At that stage, I started working. After about 3 months, got a job at Destiny, which is Discovery, and then later on moved into Discovery. And then in about 2007, I was in corporate relations, so I met a lot of people and dealt with different people in different ages, different religions, cultures, etc. And something started creating this burn within my heart area. I don't know, soul, heart area. They say the soul and the heart is at the same place. And something was driving me. In order to create a better world, better society. I didn't know what. At that stage, I was Googling the UN websites. I wanted to go and do some charity work, or even, that was the kind of principle that I wanted to follow. I just felt there was a need for that.
So it was sort of almost the antithesis of the corporate capitalistic type world. So that pull was towards the good of humanity.
Yes.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah, just all of a sudden it just happened. I don't know what, if it's a timer that was kicked in or divine timing or whatever it was, but it was at that point that it kicked in. And about a year later, I met a chiropractor, and he was very metaphysical, and I was very Christian orientated at that stage. And
it's a very difficult path to cross. That.
Yes, and so he was treading the waters with what he could see, what he could do, what he could actually introduce into me, what I would be receptive of. And the stuff that he introduced, he was very clairvoyant. He was able to experience and to discuss and chat with the past on, if you want to call it the other side, very much like John Edwards and those people. And so he picked up my grandfather, my uncle, and my cousin that had passed away earlier that year, and he explained exact things. I mean, and nobody could know those things, how they passed away, how my uncle had a heart attack, he was holding his heart, etc., and how they looked. It was amazing. I was sort of at that stage dabbling with it. Actually, I was introduced to him a year earlier to say I should have gone there. At the time that I was introduced to him, I was going to World Champs for triathlon 70.3 in Florida.
Okay, you are a sports nut. All right, we've got that one done. So yeah. Okay, so it's from the Christian perspective into metaphysics. I mean, it's not different. Actually,
no, it's not.
We're talking about the same thing.
It is.
The trouble is that I think if you're coming from one perspective and quite a religious, conventionally religious perspective, it's quite difficult to change over and do that sort of thing.
It was very difficult. Let me tell you, I started reading Conversations of God and Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, and all of those books, Journey of the Souls, etc. And there was still a fear of me that you're being judged, the devil is going to take your soul, you're going to go to hell. So it took me a good year or two, even starting to cross over into the metaphysical, like you're saying, to let go of those beliefs, because we are indoctrinated at a young age that you should fear, you cannot achieve, you cannot do certain things. Everything that you do comes from God. Everything that you are is thought that is manifested in the physical reality. Nothing other. Everything you see, everything that we are, comes from the divine. It is the divine. Nothing is not the divine. And we have separated ourselves from the divine. And that is for me, the book is about moving back into the divine that lives inside each human being. And that is what it took me a while to get to that point, in order to accept that and fully understand that actually we're much greater than the physical body. We're energy, and energy can never die.
We're all interconnected, and that's the main thing.
Yes,
well.
There's no separation. Maybe on a physical, in a and a human consciousness when the human mind is involved. But in the mind of God, everything is one. And that's why I call it the oneness principle. It's not I cannot claim anything as me. That's one thing as well. It comes from the divine.
You were the conduit.
I was just the conduit, yes.
In a nutshell, if you can, because it's not a nutshell type thing, explain quantum living to me.
I take the reader on a journey from science, so explaining to them that energy and particles, like the double split helix where electrons can be at two places at the same time, science has proven that. Science has proven a photon can be quantum teleported miles, hundreds of miles. That's actually the same photon that can appear at two places at the same time. And then I tell the reader, why can we not do that? Are we? So I take the reader through energy transformation. We all is based on energy. So every particle of your body is made of energy and particles. And then I introduce them to different concepts of love. So the more you can see yourself as part of everything, the more you increase your vibration and frequency, which is linked to the level of truth and linked to the level of love, the closer you start to see everything as God, yourself and everything as God, and not separated from one another. So that's why raising the energy in the body, or the changing the way the beliefs are in the neural pathways in the brain, we start shifting the way we see and relate to the world, and we start shifting the way we think. So it's all about changing thinking patterns, thinking behaviors. We are the Rainbow Nation. Create even higher kind of unity. That is it for me. Even higher kind of oneness. That is what it's for me. So I take the journey, and that's what all the masters came to taught us. That is love. Love is the observation without judgment. It's not my quote. There's so many people that have said it. Nothing is new under the sun. Everything is available. Everything is there. So nobody is more special than another person, and that's what it's about, seeing that beauty in everything and experiencing and feeling it within yourself and giving it to others.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good description. I think it's something that you need to experience. It's very hard to describe it, to be honest. And my personal feeling and path has been, you've got to live it to do it. You know, it's not really an academic concept. It's something that is innate within you, and the moment you start reaching out towards it, the more you start drawing on everything.
Yes,
which is very nice. What I like about your book, let's talk about the book, because that's actually why is that between the chapters you have exercises. Just how helping people to let go of stuff, which I found a very hands-on approach. Actually, I really liked that, because you're reading a chapter and then, like, exercise 2 for example is negativity, how to get rid of the negativity, and I mean it's like a muscle, something that has to be worked. You can't.
Does, yes.
But
I'm still working on it. Yes,
I'm sure. And but you've got to know that it's there. You know, it's like being an addict. You've got to know.
It's awareness. Yes.
You've got to know that you're an addict before you can do anything about it.
You've got to accept it first. Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the Alcoholics Anonymous, all those 10 to 12 step rules. You've got to know it. Yeah, you've got to. Oh, okay, this is what I'm doing now. Definitely, yeah.
And then also, if you take the meta perspective of something that you're doing, you are able to see your patterns and see you've been drawn back into negativity, for example, and that sort of thing. And it's a very conscious thing to move away from that. But, you know, like anything, it becomes the norm rather than the negative. So.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I must give my editor, Nadine, she's the one that edited the book first. Man, my ego had a bit of a bang. She said, Edwin, why don't you introduce some exercises? The first 30 pages that she edited, there was like 40 different remarks. So I went back, and there's a few people that have assisted me with the process, and I thank them very much for getting the book where it is. So it's actually a culmination in a lot of people. Like I've got the editing people and the spiritual guidance from teachers that I've had over the years as well, that has been able to bring me to that point.
It's fascinating. I wanted to introduce this discussion so that people to perturb a thought process.
That's all it is. Yes.
Where to from here? What are you doing now? Quantum living. How are you quantum living?
Let me tell you. I'm still working on myself, because I know there's always this constant, like you were saying earlier, it's constant being aware of it. I am wanting to get back into corporate to do some coaching, life coaching, etc. So that is one of the areas that I am working at and looking at, and actually have made contact with one or two people. So that is where I want to go in. And literally, it's all about thinking patterns. Thinking creates our emotions, it creates our physical aspects. So everything starts with a thought, which is later manifested. All companies started with a thought that was manifested. All products.
Thought made real.
Thought made real. That's all it comes. It comes from thought. And where does a thought come? It comes from the divine mind of God. Everything comes from there. So for me, even just going back into relationship management, connecting with people, I think that's an area that I want to go into, back into. I never wanted to step out of corporate and out of environment forever, because it's part of who you are. I mean, people are part of me. People are most important. I love people. I really do.
It's an interesting thing, and probably a discussion for another time. But my personal philosophy is that we need to bring the esoteric into the boardroom. That's my personal bent. That I think we actually really need to do that.
Everything is interlinked. Exactly. There's nothing that is not interlinked.
Right. Let's do the business side of this book. Where can we get it?
Currently, it's being distributed by the distribution house of Hay House. So they are sending some copies to Exclusive and some of the other bookstores like Bargain Books. And then if people can contact me personally, I've got about 300 books as well, if people want to purchase or buy some of the books.
Fantastic. How do they get hold of you?
They can go into my website, www.theonenessprinciple.co.za, and my contact details are on there.
Okay, fantastic. Super. And the book will sell for 220 Rand at most leading bookstores, and I hope you make a fortune.
Thank you very much.
Edwin, thanks for coming in, and we'll be back right after this.
Being a